Troy McClain, welcome to Empower Network TV, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to give a quick shout out to Stevie Marie and to Amy McCoskey for part of the reason why you're here today, Troy. And you just gave me an info dump, which I loved, of where you've been. Could you mind just giving us a snapshot, just like you did rapid fire, of this is where, so that we go, okay, brings us up to speed? Because I love the title of one of your books is You're Not Ready to Be Rich. So can you just take off again and do exactly what you did before we launch here, Troy?
Right. Absolutely. I'll give the Reader's Digest version. So I'm a coach. I'm an author. I host what we call the Millionaire Cohort, which is a mastermind of up and coming business pros, real movers and shakers. And a couple of the books that I have written, You're Not Ready to Be Rich, a no bullshit assessment of why the rich are rich, why you are not, and how to start changing that. And then another one is a list of essential habits you probably don't have, but sure as shit should. And my focus in my coachings, in my masterminds, is mindset. You got to wrap your mind around success. You got to figure out what it is you're doing, where you're coming from, in order to ever be successful. For instance, going back on my story, I come from some very humble roots. We were the poorest of poor. We lived in a tent at one point in time, and I was telling you beforehand, I remember my mother getting up in the morning and starting a fire and cooking us breakfast that was sliced bologna on a skillet. This is how poor we were. It didn't get much better. It came in waves and ebbs and flows. And I served 12 years in the military. I've been a lot of things, gone a lot of places. I've been divorced a couple of times. I know what parental alienation is like. I know what addiction is like. I was homeless for 16 months, living out of my truck. And I have been able to pull myself up by the boots. This is one thing that has been instilled in me in my entire life is how to give yourself a no bullshit assessment, how to be honest with yourself. And so I've been an entrepreneur and a small business owner for 15 years, pretty much full time. I started in arboriculture. I was an arborist. I owned several tree companies. We went all over the U.S. working for other tree companies. I trained climbers, and we worked in VA cemeteries. And then after that, I became a high school teacher for a little while. And now I work for the Utah Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, and always still in small business. That's my focus, is business and people. And my passion is mindset and overcoming your own obstacles, and not dwelling on your friggin' story. If you dwell on the story, then you live in the past. So why live in the past? Anticipate the future, create the future by getting out of the past, is my philosophy. And so this is where I work with my clients, is getting past their own limiting beliefs because of the story they tell themselves, or the hardships they've endured. And that, in a wrap, is Reader's Digest version of Troy.
I love it. And your wall. We got to talk about what's behind you too.
Talk about the wall.
Yeah, what is it?
So several years ago, I bought this dining room table for my missus. Beautiful table, but huge. It was like 3/4 the size of my friggin' kitchen, right? So we had nothing to do with this table. So I yanked the top of it off, and instead of staring at a blank wall, you get to stare at my tabletop.
Okay, so Troy, the beginnings you had, what you've been through, you were in the service.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up living in a tent for a portion of your time, living in your truck. You've been stretched. What did you learn in being stretched? What did you learn about yourself?
All right. I'm going to give you a short little story. Okay. I was living in my truck because I was looking for my child. When I came home after my last tour, my wife had had taken off with my kid. She and her boyfriend ran off with my kid, and I couldn't get any help finding my kid. So I got out of the service and I printed off all the leads of her name, everybody with her name in the United States. And I was pretty desperate, so I just hit the road to find her. And I didn't know how long it would take. I had a little bit of cash in my pocket, and that didn't last long. And I ended up working just at construction sites, man. I just show up in the evening and do some work under the table, enough to put gas in the car, gas in the truck, and move on. And the whole time, that entire 16 months, the thing that kept me warm at night was thinking about all the horrible things I was going to do when I found her. And the morning that I found them, well, the morning that I was going to confront them, I had found them a couple days before, and the morning I was going to confront them, I watched my 3-year-old child come out of the house to give her boyfriend a hug on his way to work. And I thought, who the hell am I to take anything away from him? I'm no better than she is. I'm no better than this monstrosity that had worked so hard to destroy me. And I would be proving her right. I'd be doing exactly what she expected me to do, which was be violent. And I couldn't do that. And I learned, to answer your question, what did I learn about myself? I learned that there are far more layers to Troy than anger. And that's what I was operating on. I was operating on just revenge. That's what kept me going. That's what kept me motivated. That was what got me up in the mornings. That's what kept me from turning around and going home and getting a job and sobering up and becoming a part of society. I was living in this dark place in my head and these dark places in society. And I thought the only way out is to avenge what had been done to me, and I couldn't do that. My child showed me that there was more to me than that anger. It brought out a compassion that I didn't know that I had. And so I turned around and I drove here to Utah, where my family was, and moved into my sister's spare bedroom and sobered up and got a job at a dairy farm. They were the only ones that would hire me. And but it taught me grace and compassion, and that is my leading charge today, is deal with everybody with grace and compassion. If you cannot put forth the effort to engage with grace and compassion, what other effort is worth your time? That's what it taught me, is grace and compassion, to sum it up in 2 words.
Wow. So today you're leading a charge in mindset. You're leading a charge in how to become the best version of yourself.
Right.
And so you're doing that with masterminds. Are you doing one-on-one coaching, group coaching? What else? You wrote some books.
Yeah. One-on-one coachings, my masterminds. I've written the books. I have some courses out there, not on mindset. They're on business development. That's the realm that I work in. That's what I call those are my Clark Kent hours, is working in business development through the governor's office and working with the entrepreneurs that I work with on every day. But yeah, coaching and masterminds, and I haven't had any webinars yet, but that's on the horizon. It's hard to, as you know, it's hard to parse out your day for everything that you got to do. So you have to pick and prioritize. But yeah, it's coming.
So who do you like connecting with the most then? Who is your favorite kind of person, Troy, to connect with?
All right. Well, my buyer persona, what they call what some call an avatar, is me 10 years ago. Angry, pissed off, against the world, feeling the world is against him. But I know from experience that is a hard nut to crack. Because when they are that deep, when they're that downtrodden, it takes clinical therapy most of the time. to get him out of that. So unfortunately, that's not my favorite person to work with, because the light is so far, the end of the tunnel is so far away that sometimes they don't even know it's there. For my favorite is everybody else. I love working with the single moms who they're trying to keep food on the table. They're trying to keep a job. They're trying to raise their baby or their babies, and they don't really realize that they can do it themselves, that they've got all the tools. They just have to organize the garage. They just got to put it together. I love working with the entrepreneurs who have been trying for years and have not had a breakthrough. You know, there's a program that I have where it's 10 days to your first dollar online. So many of these guys and gals have been working for 1, 2, 3 years, and they haven't turned a dime. Let's take everything that you've got and let's simplify something and put it into a system where you can make $1 in your first 10 days, man. Do something simple. Just have a product, have an offer. Let's get going. Let's move. And this is a problem that so many people face, and so many of my clients face, is they get to a point where they stop moving forward. They just move, spinning their wheels. And that's the client I like to work with, is the one who just can't quite make it happen. The one who's stuck in their own head. And unfortunately, they fit the model of insanity, because they're doing the same thing over and over, posting on Facebook every single day, expecting something to happen. They're married to Facebook, or they're married to Instagram, but they're not validating their worth. And they can't validate their worth if they don't know it. If they don't respect their own value, how can they validate it? That's the one I like working with.
I want to ask you about your mom. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Your mom, what is the top lesson or two your mom taught you?
All right, my mom. My mom teaches me every day to this day. She's the one that first tried teaching me grace and compassion. She's the one next to when I was literally contemplating murder. The first face I saw was my child. Was, what's he going to think? What am I going to do to his life? The next one was my mom. You know, I'm letting her down even considering it, because that's not something that's not what she would want from me, and that's not the impact she would want me to leave on society. My mother is a hard charger, man, and she gets up every time she's knocked down. She moves. You know, she moves through the assault like nobody I've ever met. But she is so vulnerable. She's so strong on the outside, but so vulnerable on the inside. And she taught me how to confront vulnerability, how to allow it in my life, how to allow it for me. You know, freaking be vulnerable. We're human. We're all vulnerable. Embrace it. It's one of the biggest things she taught me. You know, never stop and embrace your vulnerability.
Oh, what a legacy she's left you to fill those shoes. Eh? That's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, she is a big deal. She's short. She's a little bitty gal, but she's a big deal.
Did you still go to your mom's for home cooked meals?
Oh man, every chance I get. She lives about 8 blocks from us. My kids ride their bike down there to make cookies with her, because we don't do cookies in my house. We've got a strict nutrition plan in my house. So if they want a cookie, they got to go to grandma's. But yeah, we try to go at least once a month.
Yeah.
Have a Sunday dinner with my mom and stepdad, and she and I text every day, if not call. She's actually one of my coaching clients. It's a pro bono thing that I got going with my mom. She's like, I'm so amazed with what you're doing with some of these people. Can you help me with this? She's retired. She was a teacher, special education teacher for her career. And she's like, I want to make some more money, dude. How do I do this?
Wow. That must be hugely validating to you to have your mom ask you for help that way.
Absolutely, it is. Insanely so.
And
Insanely so.
validate the fact that she sees the gold you're providing for others in the world.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
my heart is happy for you. It's full for you, Troy.
It is, man. It is, but it's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be, man. If you want to have a full life, you have to create it. You have to have the intention, you know. And I tell my clients all the time. There's a continental divide. There's an ocean between want and intention. They are not the same thing. They don't even run on the same on the same path. They're not even parallel. Want, that's a superficial desire. Intention, man, that's spiritual. That's deeply internal. And you have to intend to have a full life in order to have it. And we all want that full life. We all want success and glamour and and abundance. But how do you get that if you don't create it? It's not going to fall in your lap. And when it does, people piss it away.
I love that you said that. As you were saying that, I just see like the intention is having your hand on the rudder. You've set the direction.
Mhm.
What is that thing? Well, I hope wind fills my sails.
Right.
Well, you need wind, but you also have to have your flipping hand on the rudder to point what direction are you going. So,
Right. What wind do you want to harness?
yeah,
Yeah, which one do you want to harness? I mean, there's winds out there that'll just take you out and spin you in circles, man. Is that really what you want? That's what most of us do. It's like Les Brown said at one time. He said, if you don't program your mind, somebody else will do it for you.
yeah.
That's mindset, man. That's develop it in here. Exactly what you intend to do, what it is that you want, what it is that your life requires, what fulfillment is for you. What's going to go between the numbers on the left side of your headstone and the numbers on the right side of your headstone? What's in between? That's the important stuff. They put numbers on the headstones, but that's not the important stuff. It's what you do in between. And you get to create that.
Hmm.
Don't leave it up to chance. Don't leave it up to somebody else.
Hmm.
Right?
Wow,
Yes.
it's powerful. Thank you for being here today, Troy. I'm really glad that you chose to join this community because love having your voice here, brother.
Thanks, my man. Thanks. It is an absolute pleasure to get to meet you and get to chat with you. Absolutely fantastic.
Pleasure's mine too. If you've been watching Empower Network TV or listening, Troy McClain has been just laying it out some very important life principles here. Certainly blessed me. If please reach out to Troy, I'll tag you in this, Troy. Let him know what you appreciate about this. He'd love to connect with you. If you feel that you're vibing with Troy. And Troy, can you please drop your links in the comments after? Like I'll tag you and drop any links you got. For whatever you
Absolutely.
drop it, please. And any closing words before we part?
Man, just for the audience out there, understand your story, understand where you're coming from. Really take my mom's lesson and embrace your vulnerability. And then get out there and do something with it. Create something with it. Don't let your headstone just have numbers. Put something in between.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks, man.
Troy, thank you. We'll chat soon.
All right, brother. Take care.